everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of Alcoholics Unanimous. I am your host, Josh, and I am officially and definitely 100% an alcoholic. Taking a lot of time off, really from everything related to mental health and recovery. In fact, I went on a little... I was calling it an experiment, which really it was just an excuse for me to start drinking again. And starting on January 1st, technically December 31st, it was on New Year's Eve, 2022. Up until about 3 weeks ago, I had been drinking. Like I said, this was supposed to be an experiment. I thought, after about 3.5 years of not touching anything, not touching alcohol at least, I thought I had earned the right to maybe try this experiment. Don't do it. If you're like me and you have a drinking problem, do not test it. Man, old habits die really hard. And they don't die at all, actually, if you're like me. And I found myself drinking pretty much every day really quickly. Within a few weeks of starting to drink, I was already... Every day, started with wine, a couple beers. I wasn't getting sloshed every day to start with. Took my time with that. But yeah, I think like I said, I just wanted to test myself. And I failed the test outright. I talked it over with a couple friends who, they were there and supportive of me and were like, okay, do your thing, be careful. You know how it went beforehand. And, didn't take any of that advice. Really just went full board, right back into what I was doing. And I'd always heard people at meetings and stuff say like, yeah, I was doing good, 2-3 years later, oh, I could have a drink. Let me see what I could do. I've been putting in the work. I think I could handle this. Lo and behold, they found themselves just like me in a spot where they couldn't handle it. They were lying to themselves. They were listening to Slick. It's the voice in your head that says, yeah, man, go ahead. You got this. You got the right idea. That you should never listen to. It's going to do you dirty every single time. But, I learned a ton about myself, as I always do in these situations. And I kind of figured out what I am, which is straight up an alcoholic. That's it. No other description, no other way you can go about it. It's that. I'm an alcoholic. That's it. I can't touch that shit. It's not good for me. It's not good for someone in my situation who just, I'm an escape artist, I guess. I do this with video games, do this with food, do it with really anything that takes my brain out of itself. And in those times too, like I don't do this. I don't podcast. I don't focus on my mental health. I don't look at myself as healthy in those times. I think most of the time when I'm in those states of mind, I'm just trying to live, just trying to get to the next day, just trying to get to the next moment. not feel anxious, not feel burdened by life, which a lot of these are kind of just constructs I put myself in. When I do the work and when I actually, when I actually put myself into a situation where I, you know, I work on what I'm doing with my mental health. When I put myself in that situation, things feel a lot different. Give you an example. Within the last 3 weeks, I've also started on a medication, new medication, Wellbutrin, and it's been 3 weeks. So my psychiatrist was saying it generally takes 4 to 6 weeks before anything kind of anything takes hold or you should really start feeling an effect. I've always been pretty sensitive to medications, so I kind of was on the lookout. And honestly, I do think it's working already. I think there's stuff changing for me. I don't feel as anxious anymore. Could be from my lack of drinking as well, which has been, like I said, about 3 weeks, about the same amount of time as I started on the medication. So it's gone hand in hand for me. But yeah, I don't feel quite as anxious. I don't feel, a big thing for me with my anxiety was I always felt like I was losing time or time was running out. It's always been hard for me to explain it, but it kind of caused me to try to prolong the night, stay up, get the most out of the day. But then I'd wake up late the next day. So it was just kind of stupid, my mentality there, but it compounds on itself and you spiral and you go down this negative feedback loop and it just kind of, keeps going and going and going and going. And I don't really feel that, kind of at all. I was on vacation in Hawaii. Just got back a couple days ago, and I noticed a huge difference from my attitude and mentality going there, especially my experience through the airport, getting on the plane, my experience on the plane. All of that was completely different. On the way there, lots of anxiety. I didn't talk to anybody, just put my headphones in, listen to music, watched, John Wick 4, I think. Solid film. Good for you, Keanu. Donnie played another savage, blind guy. It's like, dude, find another role. Just kidding, Donnie, you're the best. Anyways, yeah, I just kind of checked out for 5 hours from LA to Hawaii. And on the way back, it was different. I, sat next to this guy. It was in the middle row. His younger daughter, was probably like 12, sitting in the window. I picked the aisle seats on my flights to Hawaii because your boy got to pee. I don't drink 12 Dr. Peppers like our boy Forrest. But I drink a lot of water and always getting up to go pee. Plus, I like to sneak a little vape in the bathroom. Ooh. Just like that. So, every couple hours or so I'd like to sit in the aisle seat. But guy I was sitting next to, really cool. We didn't talk like the whole time, but I just, every once in a while something come up. And I didn't really have any trepidations to talk, which for anybody that has social anxiety will tell you kind of how they feel is like when I guess for me, I shouldn't speak for anybody else, but for me, like I have this like nervousness and to respond, and it's like talking to people I don't know has been difficult for me. just by my own mentality. The only weirdness I got going on up there is feeling that. So I didn't really have that. I just kind of was in the moment, and this is what my therapist was kind of wanting me to work on too. Was just like, get out of your head, put yourself where you are, and enjoy it. Experience that. You don't have to enjoy it; just experience it. Because I do that too much. I go in my head, thinking over this and that and this and that, and then I don't act. Right? Like it's just kind of, it's just not. It's not good for me. Or it doesn't allow me to kind of like be myself and branch out there. So, anyways, on the trip back, no problems talking. Really, kind of just again could have been fueled by not drinking. Could have been fueled by my medication. Could have been a mix of both. Could be also my attitude going into it. It's a whole lot of things. Just like I still need to unpack. I don't really necessarily know what's going on. All I know is that I appreciate and like the direction it's going. And so, yeah, that's a big step for me. I guess I should backtrack too. I lost my job a couple months ago. Yeah, and that didn't help my drinking, because then I had all day to drink and put things off, push things to the side. I still don't have a job. Haven't super been looking really hard. But I got some things in the pipeline. Got some interviews coming up this week, so things are moving in the right direction there too. That probably helps with relieve some of that anxiety and some of that oh my God, time is running out feeling that I have. And so that was tough for me. Also, I guess let me allow myself some room to speak here, but that was tough for me because I think I give 110% in whatever I'm doing, always, if I'm gonna do it. I either don't do it or I do it 1,000%, whatever it might be, and it's definitely no different for my job. And I felt like I kind of just have been undervalued, underappreciated, for lack of a better term, used, taken advantage of. Those kind of feelings. Especially when you give so much to something and it doesn't, you don't get to see it through. I was working on a bunch of different projects there, and just to no avail. The company I was working for definitely has been downsizing, so I got laid off. I didn't get fired or anything, so I got a severance, which was nice. Certainly helped with a couple of months worth of rent. I had a bunch of savings as well, so it's not like it's not like I fully am out there in the cold. And yeah, like I said, they were going under. Well, I guess they're not under yet, but might be soon. Hope none of them are listening to this. If you guys are still working there, trudge on. I'm wishing you the best. But yeah, I didn't see a lot of good things happening there. So, maybe a blessing in disguise, but it's certainly affected my mental health quite a bit for all those reasons I just mentioned. But yeah, that definitely gave me a lot of anxiety and pushed me to drink a lot more in that time period that I was doing that. Yeah, just didn't help with anything. So, anyways, I don't know, kind of rambling now. But yeah, I guess my short, sweet advice for anybody who is dealing with addiction, and or alcoholism, or, whatever you are dealing with in that regard, my advice would be don't test it. I mean, you got down that road once already. What's going to stop you from getting down that road again if you start dabbling again? Like, you build defenses, especially if you work the program and you're in recovery. You build defenses for temptations and cravings and, ways that you can kind of help yourself curb those things and, not give into those pressures. But that's with a sober mind. You don't build defenses. You don't build strategies. You don't do any work on how do I drink. For my case, how do I drink in a healthy way? I think I've learned there's no healthy way for me, in particular. Everybody's different, but I would say if you're in recovery, you're an addict, you're an alcoholic, just don't test it. You already learned that. Even if you're questioning it, you're like, man, I can get it together. Try to see. Can you stop? Can you kind of, can you control it? That'd be my advice for really anybody, even if you're not dealing with addiction and or alcoholism. Like, take some time off, clear your head, right? Like, if you're drinking every day, doing Coke every day, or, Coke on the weekends, Coke to party, if you're indulging in something every day, you probably have a problem and you should probably address it. And how that would work, I guess, is like, see if you can not do it. Do something you normally would do drunk or high, and don't do it. Don't do the drug. Just do the activity. If you're going out, try going out and not drinking. Sounds crazy, right? I did it for 3.5 years. It kind of is crazy. Dealing with drunk people when you're not drunk is the worst. Loud. Breath stinks so bad. Nobody realizes how bad their breath is when they're drunk and you're not. It's so bad. To the point where, like, I'd be like, people be talking to me like face to face. Yeah, I think that is a good idea for a business. And just loud. I think I said that already. Who cares? I have a lot of musician friends who like to drink, get in the feels while they're in the studio, while they're writing. I would encourage them to try without it. See what you can do. See what your brain comes out with. Like I said, man, anything that you do where you normally drink every time for it, like, try it. Try it without it. All goes well, or if you feel like you're fine, like you're having a good time, you're able to be productive if you're in the studio or whatever, then things are good. You're fine. But if you feel like you're needing to jump out of your skin and your bones itch and you're shaky, then maybe you have a problem. It's not for me to say. That's your own choice. Whether you decide to move forward with that or not. But look, everybody's different. I think it's good for you to just test yourself, see what you're capable of. I, for one, now know and completely understand that I am an alcoholic, and that's just the way it is. That's how I got to live my life. Terminally ill. This is something I'm going to have for my entire life. It's not going to change. And I just got to deal with it. Like, that's it. There's no other course of action or any other plan to kind of cope with that. They even say it in the in the big book. Like maybe one day science will, give an alcoholic the ability to drink in a healthy manner. But until that day, I just got to stay off of it. And like I said, now I know that. Let's give a round of applause for that. Oh, sorry. Got some new sound effects here. Here's the alien one. That's why I tell scary stories. So like I said, I just I isolated myself pretty heavily during that time I was drinking the last 6 months. Oh, yeah, duh. I also moved in to an apartment by myself, and I live on my own, and decided that drinking would be a good option for me. Fucking dummy. Why would I do that? No, it was, Talk about isolation. That was a lot of restless nights, a lot of sweaty nights, a lot of anxiety-induced sleeping, which wasn't really sleeping at all. I just wasn't getting rest. I got like little eczema stuff, and it flares up when I'm stressed or when I'm not getting enough sleep or, not showering enough. I would just kind of be going through these weird motions of life, which was eat food, drink some water, take a shit, shave if I needed to go out that day, if I was going to go somewhere, and then just get like wasted whenever I did go out. I'd start drinking pre-gaming before the pre-game again, which is what I did before, to make sure I got to the right level before I go to a social gathering, because God forbid there's one person there I don't know and I don't know how to act anymore, unless I was drunk. And, it did offer me some of that escapism from kind of the mental trap I'd put myself in. But it didn't allow me to like be me. I'd always be covering it up with something, not fully being me. I completely kind of skipped over when I first started drinking way back in the day, there was a long period of time where I was a phenomenal drunk, very friendly, very funny, life of the party. People flocked to me. People gravitated towards me. Completely skipped that this time around. I think this time around I just went straight into like isolation mode and way too drunk mode, and just like, what is wrong with this guy mode? Which sucks, because like I like that fun drunk Josh from days past, and I was kind of hoping that I would get to experience that guy again. And maybe it was there for a couple days, but quickly, the old habits set back in. Depression found its way to me really quickly. Work at the time wasn't great. When I started, like, it was stressful. Had a new job within my organization that I was trying to figure out, and there's just kind of a toxic environment in a lot of cases, and it's not a place where I could really have showned. It wasn't a place where I could really shoon. And so, yeah, all those kind of things combined really led me to a bad mental place. I had a breakdown mentally. Just kind of freaking out about everything really, life itself, what I was doing. Like it felt like my time was coming to an end, which, I know now it was just a thing my brain was doing. It was telling me that this was how things were. But anyways, yeah, isolated, living alone, nobody to put me in check, nobody to call me out on anything, at home. I'm also a good hider. I'm a good, put on a good, strong face. Like, yeah, no, things are good. Meanwhile, I'm spinning. Yeah, everything's fine. I do pretty well at that, unfortunately, which is something that I need to stop doing because it's detrimental to myself. And then people feel like I'm lying to them if the truth comes out, even though it's not something I do to like purposely. It's not like I like lying. Just don't want to, tell the truth. Like a defense mechanism, basically. And so, people don't understand that sometimes, and not their fault. But at the same time, they can feel how they want about that. So yeah, had like a freak out moment, and after that decided that like, what am I doing? What am I doing to myself here? There's things I want to do, like this podcast, which I consistently start and then stop. And every time I do it, and there's people that listen, and most of you are just people that know me, my friends, that do listen. But everyone says they get something from this, and they like to hear me talk about my struggles because, it's pretty universal, mental health, right? It's not just allocated to alcoholics and addicts. Everybody is dealing with that. And I think everybody, pandemic's over now. But during that time, I think like a lot of people realized how important their mental health was. And so it's, much more accepted now to just openly talk about it, which is super cool. It's something that I wanted to do with this podcast, and I got beat by a virus. So fuck you. Sorry. No, but it's a good thing. Anything that opens up doors and breaks down barriers between the general population and people that want to talk about certain things, and especially in this case, like mental health. It's very important. It's just as important as going to the gym, making sure you're active and you're living a lifestyle where you're moving around and you're getting off the couch, and you're getting your steps in, and you're walking 5-6 miles a day, getting your cardio in. You got to do that for your mental health too. You have to address it. Otherwise, this is like going to go spiral out of control. Especially if you are somebody like me. There's some people out there that never think about it, never do anything to it, and live a healthy, happy life. And that's just it. Like, props to you. I am not one of those people. So I have to work on it. And there's no shame in that. Some people are gifted with, genetically their bodies are in better shape than others, just at the, net zero level. And some people really have to work very hard to get to a place where they're like, I still need to lose a couple pounds, a couple lbs off the, good old love handles, which your boy got some from Hawaii, eating all that hula pie. If you don't know what hula pie is, look it up. But it's basically ice cream, fudge, macadamia nuts, whipped cream, and bliss, pure bliss. And if you get a chance to go to a place called Bullshed, 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 it's It's on the island of Kauai. They have what they call a Kauai pie, and it is Kona coffee ice cream with whipped cream, chocolate fudge, and macadamia nuts. And dude, I should have died after that. Like, there's no better thing to eat. Also, the Musubi truck on Kauai, fire. Fire, fire, fire. If you're there, go to the Musubi truck. It's like gourmet Musubi. They got the goods. They got the OG, just straight up Spam Musubi with a little bit of sea salt mixed in there, a little bit of spices. There's some, extra doings in there. You can smell the rice vinegar, very fresh. A little bit buttered rice. It was great. But then they got like they got some fusion stuff. I tried one that was called the kimchi. No. Something like that. Kimchi beef roll or musubi. That was delicious. I mean, they had all kinds of different things. Go to those ones. But anyways, like I was saying, I can't believe I remember what I was saying. People are different genetically. We're all humans. We're all very, very, very similar. I think we're all more similar than we'd even like to admit. Oh, hang on. I think that was an airplane. We're all more similar than I think we'd even like to admit. We got the same organs, the same processes, the same kind of brain. But how that is structured, how your perspective of the world is very different, I think, from person to person. And, I think that's a lot to do with, nature, the state that you're born in. And then a lot of it is nurture, too, like how you were brought up, starting from day one. Were you held enough? Were you, shown enough attention as a baby? Were you getting your needs met then? And then going into toddler, young kid, teenager, young adult, and then full on old ass man like me. And even old asser than that. There's all these things that shape your perspective, and we're all, very different in that way. But the one thing that we do have in common is like how these organs work, how the brain sends signals. Are you reacting first and then thinking about that after, or are you in the moment able to recognize where your emotions are coming from and realize what triggered you? And are you able to suppress that? Are you able to move that emotion into something positive? Are you able to even put it into words? I remember that was like the hardest thing for me at first was, I took this behavioral therapy class. It was dialectic behavioral therapy, DBT. And it just teaches you to because I feel my emotions first before I even have a chance to think about what's happening. Feel that initial shock, whether it's happiness, excitement, anger, sadness, whatever it is. I feel that first. And then my brain's like, okay, what is going on here? And, these classes teach you a very good job of how to break that down for yourself. Okay, cool. Oof, I felt that emotion. Boom. Where did that come from? This person said that. Okay. This person said a thing and it made me feel super upset. Why? In my past, I guess, this and this happened and this person would say that sometimes. And, you start unpacking these things and you start to realize all these, triggers and stuff like that you feel like, oh, I don't have any control over. You actually do. You actually have a lot bigger, what am I trying to say here? You have a lot more control over how you react to things than than what you probably think you do. And that all comes with, practice and mindfulness and being in the moment, and then being able to extract yourself from that moment and put, let your brain do the computing, and figure out, why am I feeling this way? What triggered that? Why does that upset me so much or anger me? Or, even in the positive cases, like, why does that make me happy? Why does that make me feel good when this or that happens? And then you can kind of, at least you have an understanding. It's good for the negative emotions and negative feelings, because then you can help yourself be less impulsive. You can feel like you have a little more control over what your reactions are to those things. And at least, like I said, understand where they're coming from. And the flip side of that is, like, on the positive note, things that make you happy or things that make you excited and fill you with life. Like, it's important to understand those too, so that you could do more of that. Put yourself in those positive situations a little bit more. That's one thing for me that I really have to work on, because I'm such a negative Nancy that, if I don't do that, then I just get swirled into this darkness world, where I'm, just kind of fighting, I feel like. And I have to personally make sure that I am looking out for those positive things and the things that do give me life, and do more of those. Like, for example, this podcasting. I like this. It's just a, it's like what am I at? We're 37-ish minutes. I've just been talking. It's just been my own therapy session. And it's funny too, because I when I think about it, it's like, I don't feel like I'm just talking to myself. I feel like I'm talking to an audience. So I have that, and you guys will hear this at a later time. But I need to do this. It makes me feel good. I feel accomplished. I feel like I'm checking something off. And maybe at the end of it, if somebody hears it and, is able to help themselves to a better life because of it, then, that's even more victory. And, things like exercise. Haven't really done much exercise here and there throughout the years more recently, but that's something that I need to make sure I get going. When I was in Hawaii, I was, consistently getting in about 13,000 steps a day. That would equal anywhere from 6 to 7 miles for me. And like, I just noticed, like, by the end of the day, I'm like actually tired from doing all these things and getting out and moving and stuff like that. So, it's just a lot of things you can realize about yourself if you spend some time to focus on the good and the bad, parts of your psyche or your personality and your emotional state. The more you know, the less that feels like it's just nebulous emotion, the less that feels out of your hands, the more control you feel like you have over kind of everything in your life. And, this is coming from, just over 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks being clean, of alcohol and, working with a therapist and making sure that I'm doing the right things there. So this is another experiment for myself, and hopefully it's one that I can kind of keep going for a long time, because I feel like I am better for it. I am better without alcohol. I am better without the obsession. I'm better without anxiety. I'm better when I like to think of this as like flushing, right? Because life throws a bunch of shit at you. And if you let that shit pile up in your toilet brain, then it's going to overflow, and it's going to be stinky, and you're going to get other diseases from that. Sepsis. And, but, all kidding aside, like, you got to flush it. You got to flush the shit down. And that for me is a, big task, but I'm willing to get after it and to handle it and, see what kind of brings, what this brings out of me. This is a pretty big step for me to get this podcast recorded. I'll have to edit it down and, ship it out and put it up on the platforms. And, that'll be another little checkbox I can do with me for, my job hunt. Like, got stuff lined up, interviews and whatnot, and things look promising. And those are little check boxes. Making sure I walk, making sure I get my steps in, making sure I just move. Those are little check marks. Eating healthier, taking my vitamins. These are all little things that, like, for me, I have to pay attention to. And, like, you did this, you did that. Check, 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 check. And I can look at the end of the day and be like, yeah, that's it. I did what I needed to do. And I feel good about it. And, there's not much else to say. So, yeah. Anyways, let me make sure I got to all my topics here. I wrote down what I learned. I said, I am absolutely, underlined, an alcoholic. Old habits don't die. I am better without it. Mental health and loving yourself is a constant effort. And I have a terminal illness, alcoholism, and I need to treat it as such. So those are my takeaways from the last 6 months. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for sticking it through. If you did stick it through, I appreciate and love you. Do something for yourself. Maybe take some time to be mindful. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just feel yourself. Feel your body. Feel your thoughts. Feel your emotions. Do all the little check boxes for yourself, and check off your reward system there. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you next time. Peace.